How's everybody doing? Waiting for Simone. We're gonna start the interview now. I don't know if you guys know, or you're just passing through Instagram, you want to join. We're gonna have an interview now with one of the choreographers, big choreographers of ice skating. She's an amazing dancer and she's an amazing professional. There she is. So if you want to join, have a glass of wine ready to have a nice time and get into our backstage of the skating world. Okay. Are you there? Simone. Hello.
Hello.
Hola, hola. How you doing?
I'm doing well. You know, this is live TV. What can you say? So, you know,
Yeah. What can you say?
Naturally, all the gardeners show up and they start with their chainsaws, buzzing, cutting bushes, and
As noisy as possible.
Yes.
Just to remind you you're home and you're still there. You know, you haven't left your house in quarantine.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's the magic of this, isn't it? It's very holy. It's very like close to everybody. It's nothing special. We're just having a chit chat with a glass of wine. Where's your glass of wine?
Yes. Here's my glass of wine.
There
Cheers.
you are. Cheers.
Cheers. All right.
Even the colors were coordinated. Like you're white and red. You're in the US.
A little bit of yellow. The artwork in the back has gold as my wine.
You're matching. Well, I have a red couch with a red glass of wine.
Very nice.
Something half of a wall. Something like that. All right, let's drink.
That's that's fabulous. Thank you so much, Sylvie, for inviting me for this chat.
No, yes. Thank you. Thank you so much for wanting to be part of it. I'm so excited.
Yeah, well, normally we would be having our chat in Germany at this time. However,
exactly at this time, like a month ago, really, but
right.
Yeah.
But this year is quite different. But through the magic of these live chats, we can still connect, which is, I think great. It's great. It's a blessing. So.
Yeah. I'm on the couch, so I'm just pretending I'm in the kitchen of Fantasyland.
Yes.
We have woman talks until like 3 in the morning about how to save the world. No?
Yes. and Nick is cooking spaghetti bolognese in the middle of the night.
The only or chicken pesto.
Or chicken pesto. Yes.
We have two options there, right?
Very large amounts.
Yes. Large amounts. Yes. So how are you? How's the lockdown? How are you coping with it?
Well, surprisingly easy, I suppose. I'm at home like everybody else has been. We're hanging out, watching lots of webinars.
Yes, right.
Getting a chance to slow down a little bit, reflect on life in general. You know, what do you do with an experience like this? What can you get out of it? Absolutely. What should you get out of it? How can you use this time productively?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're on that one. I think it's the only way you can get through it.
To learn more.
Learn more, and as we were talking today, like introspective and see what can you change, because the world is changing so much right now, right? Like the teaching way is changing, everything. So it's a cool like stop to take a look. What can I do?
Yeah, and I think it's incredible. Not that I wish that this would have ever happened, but it just gives us all a different perspective on life and just how fast we've all been moving. You know, we're just all rushing through life from one job to another job, from one destination to another, and we, never have the time to stop and contemplate and actually.
And as well, like, I don't know if it happens to you, but like, in our business, you're always casting for the next one or like applying for the next one. So you're never really in the present, because while you're here, you need to be thinking a year ahead.
Yes.
So that was happening to me, and I was like, this needs to stop, because
Yes.
I'm getting on the plane and I'm already thinking, where am I going to go next, and
Right.
what, and you don't enjoy, you know. So this is a moment
Yeah,
I want to think
you're missing a big part of life when you're not in the now.
absolutely.
Being here right now, being present in every moment, and being aware of where you are, what's going on at this very moment, that truly is all there is. And when you're rushing around, you're living in the past and you're living in the future, but lights are on and nobody's home.
But not in the present. Yes, we're always something else, but not in the present. Totally.
And that's that's part of what we do. Skating, dance. It's all about being in the present. It's all about being there in the moment, aware of what you're doing at every moment, because that makes you a better artist,
absolutely,
a more
and as well because
effective artist. So
we just repeat, right? So if you don't take that moment as a unique moment, as a present, then it just becomes boring and repetitive, and every day is like now, Groundhog Day, like right, you go to the shop, mom, blah, blah, blah. So absolutely, that's
and that's when you're not in the moment. That's when there's no creative flow. If you can't be here right now, being present with the moment, there's no room for creativity to flow in. So then you have to force it. And I think most creative people know that when you force creativity, you can squeeze something out of it, but it's never quite authentic when it feels forced. So in order to be truly authentic and creative, you have to pause. You have to take deep breaths and be here right now. Like I'm being here right now as I'm hearing the buzz chainsaw outside.
Just cutting the whole forest.
Murdering the bushes outside. They're murdering them.
Like by the end of the interview, you're going to go out and there's going to be a building there. No more garden. Just like you're somewhere else right now.
Exactly. They're cutting down all the bushes. Come on, take it easy.
I think the gardeners are a little bit like dentists, or hairdressers. They just can't stop. It's like goes further and further.
They're not in the moment. They just want to get their job done and go to the next building. It's exactly what we're talking about. Slow it down. Slice across with that chainsaw a little more evenly. Don't just hack at it.
With anger or quarantine.
Yes. I'm thinking
this is outside.
Don't be angry at the bush.
Exactly. Leave the bush alone. So Simone, tell me a little bit, your career is absolutely incredible. Like if there's any iconic shows that people from skating and from out of skating have ever heard of, like the big ones, the big names, you have been in all of them, like involved somehow.
I certainly have done a lot of shows. I've skated in a lot of shows, and I spent a lot of years on the road doing everything from theater shows to arena shows. When I was performing myself, I was on the road for more than 14 years performing.
It's amazing. And you certainly did like every single thing.
I think it's a respectable amount of time.
Right.
I've done theme parks like SeaWorld and Busch Gardens. I've skated in Holiday. I spent a lot of time in Holiday on Ice. For about 7 years. I did a tour of Germany in a circus. Well, it was owned by a circus family, but it was actually an ice review.
We did ice capades, it's in every single movie, because maybe the new generation or people that are not so much in the US, they haven't heard of it, the new generation, but it's an icon. It's like ice capades is a moment in time for skating, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it was the golden era of before I came along, predominantly. So I was kind of on the better tail end of it. So I got a lot of benefit as a performer. I got a great benefit from being involved in a big show like Ice Capades. I learned so much that eventually propelled me into my life, helped It didn't, but it helped me move into my life as a choreographer. But I've learned from every single show that I've ever performed in, you know,
Of course.
because a great choreographer once told me, great choreographer who everybody would know, which is Sarah Kohar. She told me early on in my career, she said, well, honey, you don't learn anything by sitting at home on your couch waiting for that ultimate job. So,
Right.
you know, consider going out there and doing all kinds of work because
All kinds. Because
they can,
that's very important, eh?
yes,
Like
they can
all
all
kinds.
teach you all kinds. And it doesn't,
Yeah.
you know, I entering the that was interesting. Entering
Yeah, it was
the
my
professional career, I was very I was a little confused. I thought I was under the impression that I was a great artist.
under the impression. I really thought that. I was convinced about it.
I thought I was a great artist, and that I needed I needed to wait around for that, you know, for only those jobs that were worth my time. And then therefore I was waiting in vain. You know, I could have dented that couch with my rear end for a very long time. And then eventually this piece of advice from Sarah came, and I thought, yeah, you know what? Let's learn.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're not learning, you're dying.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So how do you start skating?
Well, I actually didn't start skating. I started skating, but it wasn't my idea. My mom was very fond of skating. She loved Peggy Fleming, who was an Olympic champion, because she was stunning and beautiful. And fortunately in my career, I got to work with her many years later. I actually was so fortunate that I actually got to work in some shape or form with all of my idols.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Can you imagine? Isn't that amazing?
Amazing.
Yeah.
What an accomplishment, eh?
I don't think it's kismet. I don't think it's an accomplishment on my part. I didn't really do anything except for wish for it, and it somehow materialized.
But it materialized because you work hard.
Yeah. Yes.
It's just,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah. No. I worked
humble. You're still humble. You hard worker. You investigate. You look for that.
I worked very hard in as a competitive skater, and then when I turned professional, I never stopped working. And I'm not talking about just doing shows. What I mean by I never stopped working is I never stopped working on improving who I am and the knowledge that I have as a skater and as a dancer, as a choreographer. The learning never stops. The minute you think that you know everything, you're finished. You're done.
You're done. Absolutely.
Bye.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
So it's things show up at the right time when you need them, if you're open to them, I guess. Yeah. So they did for me, fortunately.
So your mom liked skating and she pushed you into it.
Yeah, she's the one that encouraged me to do that, and fortunately she hit the jackpot because my piano teacher had basically told my mom to remove myself from her site and go and do something else.
She has no talent. Like, just let her go to football or.
You know, well, I couldn't sit still. So she said, "Listen, you really need to put her in a sport because if she can't sit still long enough to practice her scales, she doesn't belong here." So that's what she did. So off to skating we went. I tried gymnastics as well, but I wasn't flexible enough. And growing up in Romania, under that regime, there were so many more girls that were so much more talented and so much more flexible. So the skated suited me much better.
Yeah. And did you like it right away? Like you went there?
Yeah.
Or yeah, right away.
Absolutely. Yeah, I liked it right away. Took to it like a duck to water, I suppose. Yeah.
So it was something natural for you. Like you were talented, let's say. It came naturally.
I think I displayed a lot of talent for, you know, a propensity for skating in a lot of different ways. but it's not the kind of talent that doesn't require a lot of hard work.
No, of course.
I mean, I had a passion. I had, that's where dancing came in later. I just loved to move. I loved the feeling of movement. I wanted to move fast. I wanted to move slowly. I wanted to be expressive. I loved the way that it made me feel.
Okay.
So that's what I fell in love with. Not necessarily the tricks or what could be attained by entering competitions. Unfortunately, I actually never cared about that very much. Otherwise, I would have been a better competitor. Mm-hmm. I might have actually done better in competition if I cared for the results, but everybody around me cared about the results. I just wanted to move.
You just wanted to be on the ice in the big ring.
I just wanted to move on the ice. I just wanted to express myself. I love jumping. I love spinning, only because of the way that it made me move. So that was the primary motivator for me.
That's amazing, huh? Because that's not very common to find on a skater, is it? Like mostly people,
I don't know.
They focus more on it's such a hard sport. My God, it requires so much concentration for do like one step.
Yes, it does. But I honestly, I have to wonder, is it that others don't really feel that? Or is it that the system that we're in doesn't really allow for the expression?
Okay.
Or for the time to spend just feeling that incredible feeling of skating and expressing yourself and just being one with the flow, one with the speed of the ice, one with the ice. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm saying,
yeah,
as for young kids, when you're starting out skating, you're basically introduced into a competitive world. It's not like it's not like dance.
Right?
Yeah, it's not like dance where first you have to learn. You have a great foundation. Dance has a great foundation. You learn your basics. You go to the bar and you learn about how to feel internally and how to discover your body, discover how you move from the inside out. Mm-hmm. In skating, you're basically from the very start, you're learning tricks. And it's all geared towards accomplishment. So you kind of we bypass a lot of that incredible joy that kids have to learn to skate. And when they're really little and they're just, whether they have any technique or not, they just go and run around the ice, limbs flailing everywhere, just free. And you see so much joy, that comes out of that, and eventually that gets honed down into something much more structured, which is good, but then it kind of becomes very narrow and more rigid from an artistic point of view.
Absolutely.
Because of rules and regulations, and you must and you should, and
on the finger,
and don't do that. Yeah. Yes.
You think this express or rush way of, let's just go into there's no time for investigation or for feeling or for taking a moment with the feel. Do you think it has to do with the time we're living in, where everything is really quickly, or you think it's the sport?
I think sport, all sports, and everything is a byproduct, I think, of the world we live in. I would imagine, because.
But in your time, but you were having more room for that. Were you encouraged more for like dance lessons and maybe theater lessons? Like was more like a package that is nowadays. Yes. Yeah.
When I was, so of course, obviously, when I was competing, we have to go back at least 25 years or more. So that's quite a big chunk of time when you think of a quarter of a century. Oh my God.
Oh, no, it's okay, it's okay. Let's forget about that. Let's talk about something else.
Yeah, so that was a different time. We had to comply with very different rules at the time. So yes, there were. I just remember one of the great things about going back there is that we actually, the skaters of my generation all took pride. If you hear the buzz chainsaw, it's because he's getting close.
I just heard it. I was about to say, what's that?
I may have to walk into the bathroom. I don't know. I may have to go hide to get away from the noise. Anyway, the skaters of my generation, because of the rules that we had for the competitive rules we had at the time, we had a lot more time to spend developing our personal sense of skating, our unique personal style. Where, you know, I just remember so many of the skaters that were my my peers that yeah, live TV. They we all took pride. We all wanted to have a signature move. We all wanted to develop something that could be called the way that Denise Bielman developed the Bielman spin, and then everybody copied her after that. You know, we all wanted to develop something that was uniquely our own, that we could, you know, be known for. But yeah, we had time, and we were encouraged because there was time for that. Yeah. And nowadays there isn't, even though there is an effort. I believe there is an effort from different pockets within the skating world to encourage young skaters to start developing their own sense of style, because one of the things that we've experienced through all the adherence to all the rules, all competitive skating, you know, even the very best in the world, all of a sudden everybody looks exactly the same, and yes, everybody does the same thing, done well, but still there's no sense of character. Yeah. Sometimes you run across that, you know.
Well, I do feel, I mean, it's absolutely different maybe from dancing, but I do feel I wasn't a competitor. I was just a dancer because I like to dance, and it came easier to me. So I was so passionate that I took many lessons, and then I ended up quitting medicine school to study dancing, random. So I feel that in my time, I'm going with you, not 25 years, but almost there.
I have to have another
drink. Cheers.
Cheers, have another drink. Yeah.
Let's have a break. In my time, like 5 years ago, I feel like there was more passion, you know, like you will do that because you love it, and you will go to class because you love it, because you love it. Yeah. You don't go to the class to show off, which is happening a lot now in the dance classes, because, you know, the camera thing, and people record their videos and then they upload it to the Instagram or whatever social media they use. And there's a constant thing of showing off, you know, the outside, to the outside. Right. Show I'm the one in the class. Competition is like an audition class. And before, I feel a class was a place for myself. I don't care what you're doing, if you're doing it right or wrong. It's a place for me to learn and for me to be better. Yeah. And then when we go to the audition, I'll kick your ass. But in the class, we're all having fun, you know, and we're all like growing from that feeling. Yes. Yeah. And enjoying and like taking more lessons to be better. Maybe some people do it from a competition side. Maybe some people do it for a personal side. In my case, it was personal. But I feel that, like, besides the fact that now I go take a class and I'm a grandma at the back and I don't know anything about the new style.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
I'll still try. I put my, you know, but like things change so much. Yes, I'll still try. But you go there, and I go with my, you know, my clothes for the class, and like everybody's like in jeans and makeup and the hair and pushing, like group A dances and then group B still taking half of the mirror. I'm like, what? Can you just get away from the mirror and look at yourself and showing off for a second? Because this is not the place for that. And do you think that's happening a bit as well in skating, or is it just competition?
I just think that yeah, of course. And you know, I mean, we see, like we said, you know, the sign of the times shows up in everything, whether it's dance or skating. You know,
well, I have bikes. You have chainsaws. I have bikes.
Yes. Well, hopefully they'll go away. But yeah, it's yes, I see that in skating as well. I mean, I just and I want to get back to passion, because I really feel like we have, in order to keep people in the sport, you know, sport/art, but you know, skating is considered a sport predominantly. I don't care who argues with that. You know, let's call a spade a spade. Everybody thinks of skating as a sport, and yeah, okay, it's a little bit artistic, you know, but there are, when you think of how many people make it to the very top, the elite, it's such a small percentage, you know, and so we can't afford to focus only on the elites, because at the ground level, there's such a wide base of kids who have a passion. They have a passion. So at which point does that passion gets murdered in a way?
Yeah.
Where does that flame get extinguished? We have to discover that, and how do you reignite it, or how do you back off of the expectations that you put on the kids to give results much too fast, you know, or all the time. You know, we're such a result driven society that we're ignoring the process, and the process is ultimately the most important thing, because the process lasts a lifetime. The result only takes, you know, however long that event takes. That's the result.
Because skating, as well as dancing, as many other sports, but because these ones are artistic, you have another chance. I mean, you have the competition side, which is what you were saying, like the elite, and it's very like wild, no? Because I'm guessing to get to the Worlds or Olympics, it's just
it's you know, for most it's virtually impossible. It's such a narrow point that you have, you know, it's like a pyramid. You start here and then everything goes to, and these are the elites, and you know,
but all these other ones that have a lot of passion,
those are the show skaters.
Exactly. There's hope. There's shows, thank God, where they can go.
Those are show skaters.
Yes. But that's amazing. You know, other sports don't give you that opportunity.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, life is a stage. You know, we're all on stage all our lives. Why does everybody put makeup on? You're basically on stage, just walking down the street. You're on stage for other people. You know, it's just that, you know, some of us that have done shows and are involved in shows, we require a few more lights and some more bling.
And some more lashes. So important. So when you started dancing because of the sport, or you started dancing as a side thing because you really like it?
Actually, I loved dancing. I loved watching. I lived in New York when I first came to my parents and I first came to the US. We lived in New York City, and a very good friend of mine, Elena Gordon, was the press agent for American Ballet Theater. So she because I was poor, She used to get me in to watch performances and rehearsals of ABT.
Oh my God.
I mean, I watched Gelsey Kirkland and Makarova.
Oh my God, no!
I watched Baryshnikov dance live, and Anthony
No.
Newell. Yes, and
You bitch.
Yes.
That is all I can say to you. And there are your 25 years on the road.
Yes, and that was so even, and you know, then I would go to the rink and get in front of the mirror and try to imitate, because I didn't have money for classes. So I would go and I would imitate. I would try to constantly imitate. So I would go and I would watch, and then I would imitate. And that was my soul food. That was my inspiration. That's where I became so inspired, and I thought, that's what I want to do. That it's, you know, I don't care if it's on what kind of stage it's on, but I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to have that feeling, the feeling that those dancers gave me through their performances, you know, going to see Swan Lake or Le Bayadere, or, you know, any dance, or yeah, any of them.
Macarena with them.
The way that I felt, I thought, wow, other people can make you feel that. I want to know how to do that. Yes, I want to know how to do that. So then I started dancing later, a little bit later, and actually dancing kind of saved my life, because when I was 19, I was going through. I was already dancing in a way, but I was going through some very, very rough times personally, and in skating. It was a time that I was very emotionally burnt out due to certain circumstances, and not happy. I had no self-esteem whatsoever.
Well, in skating, that can give you kind of.
Yeah, and I mean, I was a national and international competitor, but yet I have zero self-esteem and thought myself pretty worthless. And then I started dancing, because I couldn't stand to go to the rink. I could barely even put my skates on to go.
You had like a little crisis with skating, let's say.
Yeah, a big. No, it wasn't little. It was a huge crisis. And you know, if it hadn't been for dance, I would have probably left it completely. I would have moved into something else.
And that.
But I started to dance, and dance ignited a little bit of that passion in me. It kind of, what it did, it's like it massaged my heart.
No, that's so nice.
It stroked my heart, and in some way, it let me know that I wasn't a total loss. And then after that, all I wanted to do is take everything that I learned in the dance class and put it on the ice, transfer it.
Well, that's amazing. So like dancing was like an inspiration for you, a motor to your career nowadays, which is like being a
absolutely. I mean, that's when I knew that, yes, this is what I want to do. I want to know how to create movement. I want to understand how to create movement. I want to know how it feels. I want to know how it makes other people feel. How can I make other people feel all those emotions that I'm feeling? Because, you know, when you perform, you're having a conversation with the audience. We communicate through emotions, you know, and I wanted to know how to be able to communicate all of them. And I wanted to be good. I didn't want to be mediocre. I didn't want to be okay. I wanted to be really good at it. Yeah. So I had to work all the time to learn, take tons of dance classes. Yeah.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
The subject we were talking before, like about pandemic, and like all these crises we go through in life, how they trigger something, no? Like every time. Yes. I know it's a cliche, but like every time you go bottom, you just can push up, but it's true. Like it's absolutely true. Well, crisis eating and personal brought you to dancing. Dancing brought you to life. And then you had a new career, which you have executed marvelously until today. So that's amazing.
Well, we live in a world of contrast. So, you know, in order to experience light, we must have darkness. You know, you wouldn't know what hot is if you didn't have cold. In life, I feel like it's the same thing. It's you can't, as much as we think, you know, you should be happy all the time. Yes, it's great to be happy all the time, but if you don't know the ravages of pain, how can you know what being really happy is?
Yeah.
So, and especially for an artist, not that I suggest everybody go out there and get yourself in a situation where where you're going to be really miserable.
And go suffer.
No, I don't.
And be a great artist.
I don't recommend suffering. I don't recommend suffering. Even though when I was younger, I read the biographies of so many artists, whether they were painters or dancers or whatnot, and all their suffering, that I actually thought maybe this was a prerequisite, but it's not. It's not.
Don't take that.
You can live. You can live. You can learn. You can learn vicariously. So,
okay.
but it definitely helps to understand the range of emotion that a person can go through, and then you can express that out to the world. You can choose how and what you want to express out
from everything that you experience.
Yeah. But
totally.
Yeah, so wide knowledge, constant experimentation. Don't back away from things that are threatening or difficult, because they might make you feel bad, or you might not succeed. I know it's hard. I mean, who wants to go into something where you feel like you're going to be a failure? But the trick is to constantly, you know, push that away.
And what we were saying before as well, like this thing of like doing everything, the good and the bad, and not take the chance, expose yourself, which is very hard.
Yeah,
it's freaking hard to expose yourself out of your comfort zone.
Yes, for everybody.
And that is a brave thing to do, and most of the times feel stupid and like awkward. And then sometimes you're like, well, you know, I got something out of this, or it gave me a new job, or it opened doors for my career, or it just brought me to this creativity place where you can come up with something else. So it's definitely very important in life to push yourself and move out of your comfort zone, which is
I think it's, and that, you know, and that's the great thing about, I have to say that I learned so much more actually from my professional life once I turned professional. You know, and left the competitive world behind, which I wasn't all that interested in anyway. I was doing it because others were interested in it for me. So I was doing my duty to be a part of that. I was doing my duty to be a part of that world, but I was never happy. I learned from it, but it never made me happy. Then when I decided when I turned professional, I started touring with shows and doing much more dance. That's when I started really learning, you know, because I was exposed to such varied circumstances, not all good, not all comfortable.
No.
You know, not all making money, some making good money, some making nothing, you know.
And not only that, but you know what happens a lot in, like, you are in your little bubble, no? Like, I know when you compete internationally and stuff, you have a pic of what the rest of the world is, but still you're in your ring with this coach and that coach, and she hates her, and I cannot talk to this one, and blah, 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 right? And I'm the best one of the ring. Yes. So you're in that bubble where you maybe a star, or maybe you're the loser, or you know, you have a name tag already put in that small world where you train or perform at until then. when you go into show life, it's such a slap in the face, isn't it?
It can be. It can be. It can be, because it depends what your prior life
Exactly.
in the competition
Many
world.
people come up like, what's the best, and you get to show life, and oh my God, or reverse, you were crap there, and then you get there and like people open doors for you and help you grow because you have something to give. So it's kind of like high school, you're labeling high school and then you come out to real world. It's a little bit like that, no?
It can be like that. But I think, in general, I promote for anybody that wants to tap into their inner creative performer, then, either go to school first and then join a show, or join a show and go to school later. They're being on the road and experiencing performing is so much more than just doing a show. It exposes you to connecting with so many people, so many different cultures, so many life situations that people that go live in that more insular life of just school and then sport and school, they don't actually get to experience these things until they actually enter into life and connect with more people. When you get into shows and show life, and you have to travel, and you have to, you have this large extended family that's traveling with you, of people that you may or you may not have chosen as your family, but there you are.
Now that they're yours.
Now you're actually a family for the duration, and you have to learn how to maneuver through this journey together. You have to learn how to get along. It is like a family. I mean, a big dysfunctional family a lot of times, but it teaches you
sometimes.
Yes,
when you finish
yeah.
I'm not gonna see you anymore every day next door to mine, like having a wine, and it is that.
Exactly. So it's, families where, you can be at home and have a dysfunctional family and not learn as much as, being on the road with your show family, where, you learn so many more, a lot of life lessons, and how to manage these situations, how to take care of yourself, how to ask others to help you when you can't take care of yourself, how to be kind, how to stop being mean, how to stop being mean.
Yes, because the other one is alone as well, and maybe they miss their family more than you, or you miss your family more than them. And
yes, I have a few examples of interesting showing. I mean, I have so many, but I have a few interesting show experiences that stand out in my mind.
Do you want to tell us one?
Well, let's see. Yes. I can, well, like we were talking about, not missing your family, and let's say not getting home for Christmas. I mean, when I was touring with Ice Capades, one of because you asked me before what's the best hotel or best place, on the road. Well, I mean, just this one hotel, I don't even remember the name, in Spokane, Washington. With Ice Capades, we always played there the week between Christmas and New Year's. And I'm not sure who started the tradition, but it was started long before I got there, that they kept in the basement of the hotel all of this Christmas paraphernalia, especially for the Ice Capades. It was left there from previous casts. So each year a cast would leave wrapping paper, Christmas trees, light. And as soon as we would get to Spokane, and
Nick will go crazy there. He's like elf.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody would go down to the basement and start picking things, and the hotel allowed us to, wrap doors and, outfit them like packages, and decorate, and cover pictures and make them look like packages, and take fake Christmas trees and put them up and string lights. And you know, most hotels don't allow you to do this, but
Don't let you.
but this one hotel was just so special. And you then, and we would, you know, everybody would buy presents, and then you could put your presents under the Christmas tree. And it just made that time so, so homey. And there was such a strong, it created such a strong bond and connection for that cast that was there at that hotel at that time, because we also had a ton of performances. I mean, that was one of the heaviest weeks of the year. You know, we had
how many you have like per day?
But I mean, we would have, you know, I mean, I'm not sure if nowadays that would be considered a lot, but I mean, the shows were not easy when I did them. They were especially for principals. You had to. They were technically hard shows, and the principals didn't just have a solo or two. You were in
equal, right?
Yeah, you did ensemble numbers, you did solos, you did a lot of work. So you know, when you do two, you know, three, two, it's
non-stop,
full. Yeah, you would get back to the hotel at nighttime and can barely stand up, and you know, your eyes are blistering from, you know, eyelash glue, and you know.
Yes, and the makeup every day, and the spots comes out, and like people don't get, but they don't experience it, because usually, you know, between Christmas and New Year, everybody gets time off.
But it was just
the hardest then.
But it was just, you know, there was one of those things that just stands out in my mind is one of the special times. I mean, there are many like that, but that was one of the special times.
That's very sweet.
Yeah,
that everybody will read that. That's amazing. It's a nice story.
So I have another story which is unusual, because you also were like, well, were there any weird places? Well, this isn't a weird place, but my first year in Ice Capades, I didn't stay in hotels. I traveled in a fifth wheel trailer with my friend Tommy. So, which was fabulous, because we were, you know, it's like having your own house on the road.
Yes.
And we didn't,
you have clothes.
Yeah,
great.
Yeah. You had everything you needed there, but it also, there's a second side to it, you know, because you have to travel from city to city, so you don't get to get on a bus and sleep or go on a plane.
Driving.
Yeah, so there's a whole, you know, but towards the end of the tour, it was before the very last city. We're in Wyoming, and there were a couple of 2 or 3 other motorhomes on the road, so we all decided to travel together, because we had a few days off before the last city. And then there were a couple of other cars that happened to be from another tour that happened to be crossing at the same time, so, and having the same days off. So we all met in Wyoming at Devil's Tower. I'm not sure, are you familiar with Devil's Tower?
No.
Devil's Tower, if anybody's ever seen the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Oh my God, no.
Where there's this,
yeah,
there's this amazing stone structure, ginormous mountain that's just stone, looks like stone pillars, flat on top, and the whole it's a Steven Spielberg movie, and it's all based on First Contact.
I'll watch it tonight.
Where huge alien ship comes and lands on the top of this mountain. So this is where we went and camped. So we decided what would be really cool is if we pulled a TV and mounted it outside, and we made a campfire, and we mounted the TV outside on a table, and we all roasted marshmallows and got our, you know, food, you know, whatnot, and we watched the movie. And then under the stone, watching the mountain, watching the movie, and like almost virtually expecting the alien ship to come.
Yeah, I mean, I just watched it. Where are they? Like,
I was like, it's happened. Look for lights. Look for lights. Let's look around. Perhaps it's, you know, it was just another one of those moments of connecting, just having a bunch of people connect in a very special way, you know.
And as well, like for people that don't live our profession, like how lucky we are, what it brings to us, the gift of traveling and being able to be in a place from a movie, you know, like maybe other people will never go there, and
Right.
most of us have seen
Yeah.
the majority of the wonders of the world, or the set of this movie in New Zealand, or this or that, and that's for me particularly, that I love traveling.
Say that I absolutely love traveling, and to my parents' dismay, I used to seldom call home because I didn't really miss it.
Yeah.
I was, you know, I learned that I'm the kind of person that I have a very difficult. If you ask me, what's your favorite place on this planet? I would.
Like,
I mean, I have favorites. I have so many favorites, but I mean, yes, I have a couple there now that I'm much older. There are a few that I would say, okay, I'd like to settle down here. But when I was in my 20s, I just I just was happy wherever I was. I just wanted to be wherever I was.
okay.
I
And were
wanted to,
you,
I wanted to discover each place wherever I was.
that's what I was going to ask you. Were you this kind of like me? Like you get
Yeah,
to a place and the first thing you do is you Google or you look in the guide, what's
yeah,
must see in
yeah.
Malaysia?
It would have been so much easier back then
To have Google.
if we had Google, but there was no Google. There were
Okay.
maps that
Yes,
you have to
yes.
spread out and
Yeah.
carry and try to find the streets, and you know that was a whole
Get
process,
lost
and getting
and get
lost,
angry
and
and
then
have a laugh.
then
But
finally,
that makes it, I mean, it still
yeah,
happens.
still
GPS
have,
sometimes sends you
yeah,
to China and you were supposed to go to US. So it does happen
yeah,
a lot still.
yes,
Now you
but
can blame someone else that is not you reading the map. It's like, damn you, Mark.
I still have just a huge stack of maps, city maps that I've kept
Oh,
all the travels, and
um,
eventually when I have my husband and I find our, you know, ultimate home, I will make a huge collage to cover an
well,
entire wall and just draw lines
first,
through
yes.
all the
I don't
places.
have the maps, but I
Yes,
have all the, how you call them in English, like when you go to a museum and they give you the thingy, to the guide, you
yeah,
know,
it's a
explain
guide.
you. Yeah, like the guide from all the
Yeah.
places, or most places, I save them. So yeah, that's my plan too.
Mhm.
Eventually, I will do that. So which one is the weirdest place that skating have taken you to?
Um, weirdest. Um, I'm not. I
Or
don't.
like odd, or something that for people will be like, you went to Vietnam? I don't know, like crazy town, crazy
Well, I
place
mean,
you were gonna go
places.
to.
I mean, I choreographed a show about 6 years ago. It's not a weird place, but it's certainly not. Skating is not a primary sport there in Israel, and you know, the only skating rink where we could rehearse with 24 Chinese acrobats, four skaters, 24 Chinese acrobats on skates who couldn't really skate and had probably the worst equipment I had ever encountered.
Oh,
that was very interesting. And we were rehearsing in Metula, which is very, very northern tip of Israel, very close to the Syrian border. So it kind of, I had flashbacks of my childhood a little bit, you know, walking around and seeing tanks and military people with guns out. And, you know, I
and this
was,
place was like that? Was like
yeah,
very militarized? Oh my God.
well, not very militarized, but it was very close to the border. So,
Okay.
and they didn't like people wondering, you know, I was being a tourist, which was actually a little bit ignorant, because I remember having my video camera and the land was beautiful. The valley was beautiful. And I was just videoing the valley, but I was in front of this house, and I wasn't videoing the house. I was videoing past the house. But this woman came out of the house running, screaming at the top of her lungs as to what I'm doing. Scared me half to death. And I just said, I'm just videoing the landscape. And she said, no landscape here. There's no landscape here. You put that away. So, and she was right. I mean, I wasn't going to be using that for any purpose other than just for myself, but it's not an area where they take kindly to you taking videos, because it could be used for military purposes. So this is another thing you learn, and you not only do you have to learn, but you have to be aware going into other cultures. Don't assume you're at home.
Yeah.
You know, be sensitive to understanding the culture to some extent, and learning a little bit about the time you're living in, so that you don't become offensive to the people living there, or you don't place yourself in danger.
This career
So,
gives you that as well, right? With the traveling,
yeah,
is not only the great part of sightseeing, which is amazing,
yeah,
everything that we have seen, but it opens like your mind to,
yes, yeah,
you know, there are other cultures, they don't live like you,
yeah,
and I don't care if you do this in your country, but here you don't. And so, for me, it's hard sometimes. Huh? It's very hard sometimes. I'm very
yeah,
resilient because I'm
yeah,
very like, you
mhm,
know, from the
right,
niche and the group, and it gets hard, but it's amazing because then it opens your mind so much more when you
yes.
relate to people that maybe don't go through those experiences.
Well,
Um,
maybe, you know, maybe after your skating career, maybe you want to go into public relations, or maybe
yeah.
you want to do something else, because you have more awareness of
Hmm.
the culture. You
Yeah.
never know. But I have experienced, unfortunately, I have experienced a lot of young people that go on the road and are not aware that they're not in their own backyard,
Yeah.
and behave the same way. And you can't. You have to grow and become sensitive to the
Yeah.
way other
I know.
people's way of life, and respect it, even if you respect it while you're there,
Hmm.
even if you don't
And
respect it when you go home, but respect it while you're there,
yeah,
because
because you're not
you're on
home,
their
you're in
ground.
their home.
Yeah,
Yes.
you're in their home.
Yes.
So be
So
respectful.
traveling so much
Yeah,
to different countries
yeah.
with different languages. Do you remember? Because you know we all know you get to a place and they're going to teach you something in that language.
Usually
Usually is sing,
dirty words.
right? Yeah. Or like a beer, or you know something funny they're gonna. Do you remember like one or two phrases that you learn in different languages?
No,
No, nothing.
no, no,
No.
no.
Awesome.
I mean, I've always, you know, wanted to learn, and I've always been able to learn a few, of, you know, just a few expressions
Hmm.
while I'm there, because I find it just so inconvenient to go to a new country and not be able to speak their language. It's frustrating, because I feel like I should speak their language because it's their home,
Yeah,
and I don't want to assume that they should speak English. But
exactly.
the reality is that English is the international
It is.
language of business. So, you know, even with spending so much time in Germany over the years, I have for some reason, I have had a lot of work in Germany. And when I was 12 and lived in Germany for a year, I went to school there. I used to speak German, which of course, when I came to the US, tended to go away because, you know, English was more important. But, you know, returning to Germany, within the show structure, everybody speaks English.
I thought
did I say something wrong?
I think so. It was your fault.
I
think we like passed the limit of the time. This was supposed to be half an hour, and now when you kicked me out, I'm like, oh, it's been an hour. So maybe there was a limit of time. I know.
Oops.
So, but people don't know this can keep going.
We can go a little.
months.
Yeah, we can go a little longer. Yeah, because
so I'm just gonna ask you a couple of wrap-up questions. So we finish this because it's been a little bit longer than we thought. So can you say thank you in German or in Chinese or in something?
Well, Dankeschön, Danke sehr, of course, German.
Any other one, like in Israel, how you say thank you?
That I don't remember.
You don't remember? Which one do you remember? A weird one.
Neither. I actually don't. You know, I have to. Okay, so I have to tell you one thing. Because and I don't want to keep bringing this up because age doesn't matter. But as you get older, things change. And my
like memory.
and my very good friend and mentor and director for 2 Holiday on Ice shows, Kevin Cottam, when I was working with him, I worked with him on 3 different productions. He used to always tell me, okay, now you have to remember everything. And I would. I mean, I could memorize every single step, and I remembered like entire shows for years. And so anytime anybody would go to Kevin and say, Kevin, do you remember what's the count here? And he'd go, don't look at me, go ask Simone, because I would know. And so I always thought, why can't he remember? He said, no, you don't understand. I program myself to forget. At the end of every day, I forget everything.
Wipe it out.
I wipe the slate clean so that I can have it free for tomorrow. So I don't need to fill up my head with all that information that I'm not going to use tomorrow necessarily. So therefore, you have to be the one to remember it. And I think I'm getting to the point where I've been wiping the slate clean.
I don't know. Ask. Right.
Which I, you know, and honestly, I think that's really good. And I'm only joking about being related to age because I can still remember quite a bit, but I try to put out of my brain or out of my consciousness non-essentials.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't need
to this.
I don't want to remember this. This is not important. This doesn't add to my life. It's not pertinent right now. So it's something that I don't actually have to. I don't have to remember it anymore for the time being. If there comes a time when I actually have to know something like this, hey, Google, it's right there, and Google Translate,
So you don't need to learn Danke anymore.
I don't
like the map because you have GPS and Google Translator.
Exactly. I don't have to remember anything, but I remember a lot.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to do a quick kind of ping pong ish, if we can.
Yeah.
So tell me the best arena or theater you have performed in.
Okay. So best arena, you know, I will have to say, just for sentimental reasons, my very first show, which was Electric Ice, and it was the company of Robin Cousins, the 1980 Olympic champion, and we unexpectedly got to open up the show at Victoria and perform at Victoria Palace Theatre in London, which was it's a stage. It's a relatively small stage. I had never really skated on that small of a stage before, but it was my first taste of the proximity and the intimacy that that you get from performing on a stage rather than in a big arena. So, and we were there for about 5 months, I think, and it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. We had the original cast of Starlight Express in a theater right across the street. Yes.
That show's still going on. That's amazing.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, the original cast. So and Hamilton was playing before this COVID incident. I think Hamilton was playing there.
So your favorite arena or theater would be the London?
So Victoria Palace Theatre in London.
Okay.
Plus,
which one?
What's that?
No, I was going to ask another question.
Oh yeah, and you know, the other one, which is just because it was such a surreal experience a few years ago. I performed with 59 other skaters at the Amsterdam Arena, which is a huge football arena, enclosed. I'm sure they can probably open it up too, but in just outside of Amsterdam. And it was an Andre Rieu concert.
Oh my God, you were skating in it?
Yeah, so you know.
Stop it. So you saw Baryshnikov and you skated with Andre Rieu.
Yeah, it was there. He had 50 ballroom dancers and 60 skaters. The skaters on 2 separate pieces of ice, and the dancers above the orchestra on a platform on a stage. And I mean, the magnitude of that, just skating out in front of 30,000 people that are not all around you, they're just in front of you. That was a pretty big wow. My knees were knocking because I volunteered for that because there weren't enough skaters, and I hadn't performed in quite a few years because I was a choreographer now. I don't perform anymore. So literally and I joked to Robin, was also arranging the choreography for this particular show, and I just said, well, I just, I'm an old show queen. I need to go out first. But I was only joking. He took it seriously, so he sent me out there first. And let me tell you, my knees were knocking.
Oh my God. Who wouldn't? That's amazing.
But it was it was surreal. It was surreal. It was wonderful and surreal to be a part of. Yeah. So
that's wonderful. And if you had to choose the best show you have skated at, like the one you say, this is my favorite, the one I enjoy the most, for whatever reason, which one would it be?
There are lots, but
I know you have to choose one. You have to choose one.
I know. I'm choosing one.
Simone, it's been an hour already.
I'm going with it.
But I keep drinking, and you're not, because you just talk and talk.
Yeah,
so, I know. Still the same one. It's refilling already.
Okay, so
one.
Okay, my Ice Capades, Return to Romance production. There was a French production in it, and I loved all that entire show. I just loved all the music that was chosen.
People are saying, take a drink, Simone. Just saying.
Oh, take a drink. Take a drink. Okay.
Take the pause. BW is saying that. So there you go. Okay.
Okay. Yes, and all right. So yes, Return to Romance with Ice Capades.
Okay.
Don't remember what year it was. It doesn't matter. I skated to Edith Piaf.
Oh, but live? No.
No, not live, but skating to Je ne regrette rien is just the emotional quality. And that was a show that was choreographed by Sarah Kawahara, and she did such a brilliant job of bringing out all the nuances that you needed to represent that music in a true and honest way. I just I love the music and the quality of the movement. Yes, it just sent me into another world. It was Yes, it was transcendental, you know. I mean, there were definitely nights when it transcended everything. I was just one with the music. It was just me. It didn't matter
That's
how
so
many
amazing.
the people were watching. I was just
That's so
there.
amazing to have the chance to finish shows like that, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Like
So
most
that,
of the time, popcorn machine, and
yeah.
that's amazing. And which one would be the show you enjoy the most choreographing?
Okay. So
Or the company? You can choose the show or the company or both. I'm going to give you both because you can choose. So give me I know you, the
yeah.
company you like to choreograph the most for,
Yeah.
and the show that you most like to choreograph.
Well, I can't really choose the company I like to choreograph most for, but what I will choose, again, for personal reasons, are the two Holiday on Ice shows that I choreographed with Kevin Cottam, who I mentioned earlier, who was
Mm-hmm.
the director. We did Exotica for Holiday on Ice and Energia. And the main reason that I will say those two have to be my favorite is because working with somebody who is your mentor, who's mentoring you basically, and teaching you about more than just skating and choreography, somebody who is teaching you how to be a better human being, how to be a more multidimensional human being, and how to grow and expand. I mean, you can't pay money for that. Or not
Yeah,
enough.
yeah, right.
You can't
It's a
pay enough
school.
money. It's school.
You get
It's school.
paid to learn. Yes.
Yeah,
That's
I'm choreographing the show, but at the same time, I'm with this human being who is such a quintessential teacher that he is making me better every single day,
for
by
free.
for free. You know,
Yes.
no, I'm
That's
actually
the
getting I'm getting paid for it. I'm
I'm
getting paid
getting paid
for
for
it.
that. That's amazing.
I'm getting paid
All
for it.
right.
Yes. So for sentimental reasons, and because, you know, working with Kevin Cottam made me a better, not only a better choreographer, but a better human being.
That's amazing, and that's
Yeah.
very lucky to have
Yeah.
those mentors, right? You're very
Yeah.
lucky.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, everybody needs a mentor, even if they're not from the same, you know, the same discipline as you.
yeah,
You
yeah,
need
yes,
you need a mentor, somebody to show you, to help, you know, so that you know, you stumble, we all stumble, we all fall down, but you need somebody to help you back up, and
mm-hmm.
point, you know, and point the way, the right way, or the ways, give you
Yeah,
options, you know, but in a very supportive, and
loving way,
loving way.
loving
Yes,
way.
that's it.
Okay, so now quickly,
Yeah.
and I mean quickly.
Drink.
No, drink quickly. We have 3 more questions, and I need these ones to be ping pong, and we're finished because it's
Okay,
like we
okay,
2
okay.
hours. I'll stay. Then we'll stay.
Let's
I'll
have
call
it.
you. So if you have to say a phrase or a mantra that inspires you, do you have any?
Just one?
One, Simone.
No, I can't do
One.
just one. Oh my God. Okay, well, you
I'll give
know,
you 2. I'll give you 2, and that's it.
okay, two. All right. So the one that I've learned through choreography is there's a solution to every problem. Find it.
I love that one. I'm gonna write it down.
Yeah, there's a solution to every problem. Just find it. Don't kvetch, don't complain, just find it.
Yeah.
And the other one is, I'll take Albert Einstein's. Nothing happens until something moves. If you want something, if you want to go for something, just wishing for it doesn't create movement. So if you want something, you have to move first. You have to make the first step.
Love it. Now, best and worst of this career's lifestyle. Was the best? Was the worst?
The best, all of the learning you get to do while you're, you know, connecting with others. All the connections, it enriches your life. And the very best part is how incredibly joyful it makes you feel most of the time, and the joy that you can give to others.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And the worst?
The worst, I would say, is not being prepared when this time has to end.
Yeah.
Be prepared, because we have an expiration date. You can't stay on the road. You know, you can't skate forever. I mean, the body has an expiration date for this type of endeavor, and eventually, sooner or later, or then you have COVID, and you don't get to do it. It's a totally different mindset. So you have to prepare yourself for the time that this will no longer be such a big part of your life. And what are you going to do next to feel fulfilled and happy as a person? Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And what do you think this pandemic can leave for good in all our lives and in the sport?
I think reflection, looking back at the way we did things, and let's see how can we improve on things and make them better in the future, because we have the time to actually slow down and focus right now.
I love it.
And plan.
I really like that. I really like.
Yeah.
I want to close with that, because that's great. Like reflection in all senses.
Reflection.
In the way we project others, what do we think? Reflection in what can we look into to get better understanding.
And reflect, bring it all inside. Don't be, you know, we have a chance to not be out there just running around like chickens with our heads cut off. We've had this amazing opportunity, sad as it is, but we have this opportunity to go back inside. Focus back on the inside. Meditate on what you want to do with your life, and how you want to do it, and how you want to be to others. How do you want to treat others? Treat others with kindness.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep that. So let's keep reflecting on this time.
Yes.
And cheers, amiga. Cheers. Thank you so much for being here. Chin chin. I have no wine. Here, right? Thank you so much for sharing these. It's I mean, I can keep talking to you for a million years, because your career is unbelievable. We didn't have time to check on Cirque du Soleil or on Disney on Ice or on many other things, Fantasyland, like so many other things you've done.
Another time.
But we don't have to do like a second chapter, because this is not enough. And we exceeded the time for like an hour extra. So
no, I know. And
thank you.
For everybody that's watching, thank you for being there. Sorry, through all our talking, we haven't been able to respond back, but we can see you. So thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you everybody, and thank you, Simone, so much. Mwah. See you soon, amiguita, and go get the gardener.
He's gone. He's gone.
He's gone. All right. No trees left. Fine. Mwah.
Bye,
love you.
Love
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.